incredible opportunity for us to give in this school supply drive. It's one of the things that God has called us to do is to be a blessing to our community, and I'm so thankful for that opportunity to do that in the school drive. Now, if you want to give for that, you can put in a little extra in the offering, right, for school supplies. But how many of you know, because kids need school supplies, our rent doesn't go away? Like, they're not charging us rent because, we still have all the expenses that we have as a church. But if you want to get involved extra, just put in a little extra and say, I want to get involved in kids' lives. Amen. Let's pray. Father God, we're so thankful to be able to sow seed into the kingdom, God, that you've given us the ability to be a blessing to kids that maybe don't have the ability to buy school supplies, God. And we can step in, we can stand in the gap for them and help them so that they can get everything they need to get out of school. God, we thank you for the opportunity to give in Jesus' name. Amen. You can go ahead and pass the containers. Thank God every need is met. So we're continuing this morning with our series called Unraveled. And we've been on this for a little bit. My superpower is how to turn a 5-week series into a 10-week series. And that's kind of the path we're on here. But the basis of the series is that our lives start to become unraveled. Has anybody experienced your life becoming unraveled? They start to become unraveled when we pick and choose what we want to believe out of God's Word. So Jesus made it very clear we are to value the whole Bible, everything in it. Now, the Sermon on the Mount is where we're coming out of for the series. So Jesus is on this side of this mountain, and he starts teaching this radical stuff. And he's describing what it looks like to live a life that's connected to God. And he's using the Old Testament law and how it relates to our lives now. Now that it's fulfilled, now that it's been fulfilled through this, how does it relate to our lives now that it's been fulfilled or completed in him? And Jesus starts to use the law to describe this new life we can have in him if, and there's an if. He's describing this new life that we can have in him if we integrate the things that Jesus says into our lives. How many know that Jesus can say something and it cannot affect your life at all if you don't integrate it into your life? So it's very important that these things that he's saying, we have to grab onto them and integrate them into our lives. Because all the do's and don'ts, the shalls and the shall nots, and all those commands, they all share one major goal. And that is to provide us with this better or new way to live. So back to the Sermon on the Mount. Remember, Jesus launches into this list of the biggies, right? The big thou shalt nots. And he starts off with the biggest of the biggies, thou shalt not murder. But Jesus expands it, because how many most of us in this room can check off the haven't murdered anybody, right? I think we all, I don't know, I'm checking out some of you are looking a little nervous there. But I think the most of us can check off haven't murdered anybody. So we think everything's cool, but then Jesus expands it, remember? He said, but I say, and he expands it into anger due to unforgiveness. When we're walking in unforgiveness and we have this anger in our lives. Now let me just say, and don't rejoice too much, today I can almost promise you, today is the last message on unforgiveness. Don't celebrate too much. It started off as I was planning on 2, and this is the 4th one. And I know it's uncomfortable for some people. Because the last thing you want to hear when you're walking in unforgiveness, the last thing you want to hear? A message on unforgiveness, right? I mean, when you're in unforgiveness, you don't want to hear that you're in unforgiveness. So this is kind of expanded to the 4 messages, but I will say that every single one, so all the three previous, and I believe the one today, somebody has come up to me and said, Pastor Ken, I finally got it. I'm going to forgive so-and-so. Thank you. Thank you for spending that time. So my philosophy is always, if I offend 2 or 3 people to win one, I'm good with those odds. I'm good with that. So hopefully nobody's been offended by that. But last one this morning. And the reason I think that we don't want to hear that message on unforgiveness is because we don't want to forgive that person. We don't want to do that because we say things like this. If I forgave them, that would mean fill in the blank. And usually what we fill the blank in with has nothing at all to do with what Jesus means about forgiveness. We build it up into something that it's totally not. We fill in the blank with something that has nothing to do with what Jesus is talking about. And I really believe that that is a protection mechanism. And we do this in many areas of our lives. But in unforgiveness, I think we purposely build it up into something that is so big, it becomes so impossible that we can't forgive them. And we do it intentionally to make it so we can't overcome it. We can't forgive them. It's just too big. So probably the biggest thing that we learned last week is this. Forgiveness is a decision. It's a decision we make in spite of our feelings. How many of you just feel like forgiving that person? That person that totally trashed your life, that wrecked your life, and just, I just feel like forgiving them. See, we do it in spite. It's much like love. You know, falling in love is like the funnest thing ever. How many of you remember falling in love? I know it's been a long time. Well, we got some old timers that have been married for a while. I don't want to say old timers. Been married for a while, and still remember falling in love. It's like the funnest thing ever. But what if our love was based on feeling in love? Is there anybody that's been married for longer than 5 minutes? Anybody? Longer than 5 minutes? Okay. So you know that you don't always feel in love. Our love has to be something greater than a feeling. It has to be a decision. And it's much the same way with forgiveness. You don't do it because you feel like forgiving. You do it because you decide to forgive. So your emotions or your feelings don't lead your decision. Your decision leads your feelings. When you decide, your feelings will follow. If we wait, see, forgiveness, it has to be independent of feeling, right? Or you would never forgive. If you waited until you felt like it, you would never forgive that person. So the story that we were focusing on last week was a story in Matthew 18. We left off last week with this, where Peter is asking Jesus about forgiveness. He's asking him questions about forgiveness. And you know how Jesus handles it, right? When he gets asked questions, what does he do? Tells the story. Hey, Jesus, what is heaven like? Well, heaven's like a farmer. And then he tells a story about corn or wheat or, that's how Jesus explained things. So he starts telling this story about this man that owes this king a whole boatload of money. Like in today's terms, probably like $2 million. So this man owes the king this huge sum of money. So the king calls the guy into his presence and says, you have to pay. It's time. The bill's up. You need to come clean. You need to pay. So the guy says, he has all the typical excuses that everybody has. I lost my job, or I had some unpredictable bills, or I went to the casino and my name is not Jenny. Something happened that he is unable to pay. Basically, he did this. I don't got it. I don't
I'll make payments. I'll work it out somehow. I'll make it happen. The guy's like begging him. Here's the king's response to that. In Matthew 18, verse 27. Then his master was filled with pity for him, and he released him and forgave the debt. $2 million. Something that probably would have taken this guy a lifetime, if ever, to pay off. The king forgave. Now, when we read this, it sounds like the word pity, it sounds like he felt sorry for him. But this word pity is not an emotional word. There is a word that's translated pity that's based on emotion, but that's not the word that's used in this scripture. The word pity that's used in this scripture is a word that is outside of emotion. It's a word that is based on the guy's thinking or his attitude. You could say it this way, although this isn't totally accurate, and we'll find out why later. You could say it was a matter of the mind, not a matter of the heart. So he didn't have this emotional, oh, I feel sorry for you, I pity you, so I'm going to forgive you. No, he mentally just made a decision, I'm going to forgive that. So it's just a decision. And so the guy's saying, really, you owe me this money. You owe me $2 million, but I am going to release you. You don't owe me anything anymore. Now that's a great story, right? Because it really mimics our relationship with God. We owe God. I mean, we have no ability to pay, and God just forgives us. So even if it stopped right there, it would be a great story. But it doesn't stop right there. The guy that was just forgiven of the $2 million leaves the king's presence, and how many think he's probably a little bit happy? He's probably a little bit giddy, a little bit, excited, and he walks out, and who does he run into? He runs into a fellow slave that owes him about $200. Now, you would think that that guy has been to a Starbucks drive-thru. You'd think he understood the concept of pay it forward, right? Something good is done to you, you do something good to somebody else. You'd think this guy would understand that, but instead, he says to the guy that owes him $200, you need to pay me. You need to pay that $200. You'd think he would forgive him, but no. Here's what he said to the guy in Matthew 18:30. It says, he refused. When the guy asked him to forgive him, he refused and went and put him in prison until he should pay the debt. Now, the fact that it uses the word refuse tells me something. It tells me he had the ability to forgive him. It doesn't say he couldn't. It says he refused. So he could have done it, and he even had a great example in his life, right? It just happened to him. He had the ability to do it, but no, he's not going to do it. He's saying, you're going to go to jail. And again, that would be a great story. If we stopped right there, it'd be a great story, but it doesn't stop there. Apparently, there was some guy hiding in the bushes. And this guy saw this whole thing going down. He saw everything that had happened. He knew the guy that had just been forgiven of the $2 million. And then he's watching this, where he tells the guy that you owe me $200, you got to pay. So the guy hiding in the bushes saw the whole thing and goes and tattletales to the king. Goes and tells the king everything that he saw. And the king is so upset that he calls the guy into his presence, says, you're no longer forgiven, throws him into prison until he can repay. Now, here's what we have to get from this. We have to understand. The guy was completely forgiven, completely debt-free. His whole thing was forgiven. But he still ends up in prison, not because of the debt he owed, but because he was unwilling to forgive a debt that was owed to him. So that was, the debt for him was forgiven, the original $2 million. His problem now has nothing to do with that $2 million, but it has everything to do with his refusal to forgive somebody else. Is this starting to sound familiar? Is this starting to sound like the situation that we often find ourselves in? So this is what Jesus is teaching in this example. And forgiving somebody, just like the king, forgiving somebody is never about emotional feeling. You know, I'm just going to wait until I feel good. I'm just going to wait until I feel like it to forgive them. Or I'm going to wait until I feel better about the situation. Well, you know what? That's never going to happen. And get this, and some people are going to, say, hey, I never thought about it this way. Some people are going to get set free just from this statement here. Forgiveness has little, or I would say nothing, to do with the person being forgiven. The person that harmed you, the person that did that, down low scoundrel thing to you, forgiveness has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. What you feel or don't feel about that person has absolutely nothing to do. Whether or not you deem them as worthy to be forgiven is completely irrelevant. Whether that person that hurt you deserves to be forgiven is totally irrelevant. Are you with me? So they probably don't deserve it in reality. For what they did, they probably don't deserve it. And oftentimes we're waiting for them to make amends with us. We're waiting for them to do something. We're waiting for them to make it right or to make us whole. So in that scenario, let me just make sure I understand this right. The person that shipwrecked your life, the person that totally trashed your life, the person that you stayed up nights crying about for years, the person that was totally responsible for how jacked up your life is right now, that crushed you, that showed total disregard for your feelings and your well-being, and that's the person you're waiting for to make you whole? You're waiting for that person that totally messed up your life? You're waiting for them to make it right? Well, let me let you know a little secret. They don't have it in them. They're not capable of doing that. You're waiting for something that will and can never happen. You're waiting for them to do something that only Jesus can do. Only Jesus can make you whole. And if you wait for them to do it, you're never going to forgive because they are incapable of doing that. And you may say, yeah, but they did this to me. They hurt me. They're a dirty rat. They're all these things. And you know what? It's not about them. Why let that dirty rat that did that stuff to you, why let them control your life? Why let them control your decisions? Why let them let you wait in this prison of unforgiveness until they do something? That's giving up control of your life to somebody that absolutely does not deserve it. Why give them that level of control in their life? Waiting for them to do something so I could be made whole again. If they would just apologize to me, if they would just, say they love me or say they're sorry or, I would forgive them. You're waiting for something that is never going to happen. To tell you the truth, I don't care what they do or don't do because it's not about them. It's about me. I'm in control of my life. And I've given that control to Jesus. I haven't given that control to them. I've given the control of my life to Jesus, not to that person. So I'm forgiving you. I'm forgiving them based on my mental health, based on my well-being. It has nothing to do with them. We have to decide based on what is good for us. It's not about them. So let's say we do that. We make a decision to forgive. We're in church and a message like this and it just hits us and we decide, you know what? I'm going to forgive that person. Boom, it's done. I forgive them. You forgave them. It's all over. It's done, right? Well, it's done until you get home and open up the mail and get that little letter, that there's another legal action or another bill that you didn't know about or another something that reminds you of it. That was nice. I think God just wants to make an emphasis on that. So you make that decision and then you get home. Or, how about this? You get that text from a friend, right, that says, oh, have you seen Bob lately? And Bob's the dirty rat, right? That did you wrong. Have you seen Bob lately? Oh, he's with this new girl. Oh, she's real fine. She's good looking. And Bob, he's looking really good himself. I think he's been working out. And he has a full head of hair now. He must have went to hair club for men. I mean, something, happened in Bob's life. Bob's looking really good, and he got a new job, and he won the lottery. And every little thing, right? Every little thing that you hear about that's happening good to Bob, what does it do to you? Puts you right back in that emotion. She doesn't deserve it. He's a dirty rat. He did me wrong. I deserve those good things, not Bob, because Bob's a dirty rat. And it takes you right back into that emotional state that you were in. So he's got all this stuff. He doesn't deserve it. What do you do in that situation? Come on now. This is real life. We're not just talking about some made-up scenario. This is real life. What do you do in that situation? Well, thankfully, the Apostle Paul gave us some insight. He gave us some advice of what to do. And I'm going to read this scripture, and I'll explain it later because it's a little complicated. But in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3, it says, of course we are human. How many of you are glad that the Apostle Paul just got that out of the way right at the get-go, We are human. I'm glad he brought that to our attention, He remember when the Apostle Paul was talking about the law, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and he said, he was talking about how the law was designed to not get us to not sin. The law was designed to show us that we can't obey it, to point us to this. But remember what he said? He said, the problem is not with the law, the problem is with me. Because I am far too human. He was saying there's something in us that we can't do this on our own. So that's how he starts off with this. Of course, we're human. Basically what he's saying is, we're in over our heads. We're in this situation that we cannot handle on our own. When we hear that dirty rat won the lottery, it's just above what we can handle. It's just, we can't deal with it on our own. So he says, of course we are human, but we don't fight like humans. The weapons we use in our fight are not made by humans. Rather, they are powerful weapons from God. With them, we demolish the strongholds of human reasoning and destroy false arguments. So basically what the Apostle Paul is telling us here is that whenever God calls you into a battle, getting rid of unforgiveness, forgiving somebody is a battle. it's a fight. When God calls you into a battle, He will give you the weapons to fight and win that battle. He's not going to call you into a battle and not equip you to win. So He's telling us, God's calling you to the battle, but He's equipping you. Because Jesus knows, and the Apostle Paul apparently knows, that when we go into a battle with just human power, with just human tools, with just our human, the way the world does it, the way that we've always done it, with just human effort, which usually is just willpower. I'm going to forgive him, I'm going to forgive him, I'm going to forgive him. Come on, how many that's worked for? It just doesn't work. So He knows when we go into it with just that, we're going to fail. Think about the times that you've tried that. I'm going to forgive him. This time, it's going to be real. I'm going to forgive him. And it just doesn't work. But instead, God gives us His weapons. He gives us His weapons to, and I love the wording that He uses, to demolish. To demolish. And demolish literally means to render useless. That the original purpose of a thing is taken away for any future use. So take a chair. If a chair, the leg broke, you could repair the leg and still sit in the chair. Demolish means that chair will never be sat in again. Its original purpose, its original use is demolished. It will never be used as a chair again. So He's talking about these things, that His weapons demolish them. Aren't you glad He didn't use words like, move on, just deal with it, just get over it? What, I mean, how meaningful would that be if Jesus said, you should just get over it. You should just move on. You should just, you should just deal with it. Come on, toughen up. Just deal with it. I'm so glad He didn't use words like that. He said, demolish. And what was He going to demolish? He's going to demolish strongholds. He's talking about these heavily fortified areas in our minds. These areas in our minds that are so fortified, and you felt them. Every time you even get a hint that you need to forgive somebody, you felt those strongholds just hang on to that thing that you need to get rid of. You felt it. And the picture that this word stronghold, the picture that it creates in the original language is these caves that they used to, when an opposing enemy was coming after them and they were outnumbered and they needed to get away to safety. They would go to these caves that were up on this cliff. And there was only one little path that got to the cave. The rest was cliffs that was, you couldn't climb them, you couldn't get up there. So they could easily defend them because they only had to defend one little path. So it's this stronghold that really is impenetrable. And we have those strongholds in our minds. So you may ask yourself, so how is God going to penetrate those things? How is God going to get in those things real way? He's not. He's going to demolish them. He's not going to penetrate them. He's going to demolish them. Or should I say it this way? You are going to demolish them with the weapons that God gives you. So it also says that these weapons will destroy false arguments. That they'll destroy false arguments. How many of you know these arguments that we come up with? As soon as God even starts hinting about you need to forgive so-and-so, the dirty rat, or we even think about, man, I need to forgive them, all of a sudden, what comes up? The top 10 list, right? Of the reasons that we shouldn't do it. The reasons that we can't do it. It's too hard. It's impossible. All these things. I don't these things. If I did, it would be saying that what they did was okay, or it would be letting them off the hook, or it would be taking away their punishment. They need to be punished, and me not forgiving them is part of their punishment. If I forgave them, it would allow it to happen again. I have to protect myself. And so we start listing these false arguments, because they're not true. But in our mind, we somehow justify these false arguments. You know your top 10, I know. You know what those things are, but they're false. But you're so familiar with them, it literally is like every time you think about forgiving them, it's just like hitting rewind and play. Rewind and play. Rewind and play. Because the same false arguments come up every single time. You've got a recording of them in your mind, and you just rewind and play. Rewind and play. And you've tried to argue with them, these false arguments. You've tried to argue with them, but they just keep playing over and over again. So, we're not going to argue with them. We're going to destroy them. That's what God says his weapons are to do. It's not to empower us to argue with these arguments. It's to destroy them. And that's what God's talking about here. And you know how those things got there? We want to blame it on the devil, right? We always want to blame it on the devil. Oh, those false arguments, the devil put them in there. Oh, is that right? Does the devil have access to your mind? Can he just do whatever he wants in your mind? No. You know who put them there? You put them there by meditating on these negative thoughts. By meditating on them, meditating on the negative burns them into your mind. Now, I don't want to get too wonkish about this because I teach like a 6-week seminar on the power of the mind, and I teach it to business people and athletes and other goal-oriented people. So I don't want to get too wonkish on this without the ability to really explain it. But there's new current studies that show that when you meditate on these things, they're not only burned into your mind, but they're actually pathways that are burned into your brain. The physical brain has these pathways that they've seen by analyzing the brain, these things that get lined up, and what they are is they're lined up areas of thoughts that when you think about forgiving, this burned-in area, you automatically fall into it. Like rainwater falls down into a trench, that you automatically fall down in this negative way of thinking because you have burned those things into your brain or into your mind. And these negative thoughts that we meditate on, we have a couple of much more common names for them. Fear. How many of you, when you're in fear, you have negative thoughts that just replay in your mind? What if this happens? What if this? And you have these scenarios, negative scenarios that start replaying in your mind. The other one, the king of all, worry. That when we worry, we're literally replaying negative scenarios in our mind over and over again. I call these two faith in reverse. And really, it's not faith in reverse. Really, it's just faith. Because faith just believes whatever. And so the faith, though, is not in the solution. Your faith is in the problem. When you worry, you are building your faith in the problem. And again, not to get too wonkish, but there's a part of the brain, the subconscious, and there's actually a small part of the subconscious that I call the creative subconscious. And I nickname it the autopilot of your mind. And the autopilot of your mind, the creative subconscious, it's totally designed to go after whatever is in it. Now listen, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. In the creative subconscious, there is no morality. And God designed us this way. The morality happens in the conscious, and you decide what is good, bad, or ugly, and filter out the stuff that you're supposed to. But the stuff that you meditate on, it programs the subconscious to go after it. So when we meditate on negative things, we're programming our autopilot to go after those things. So whether it takes you away from God's plan for your life, or whether it takes you to God's plan for your life, it doesn't know those things. So here's what happens. Every time God prompts you to forgive, or you think, I need to forgive that person, what happens? Remember the fill in the blank? If I forgive them, that would mean this. So we meditate or repeat that. Every time we think about forgiving, we say, I can't because, whatever we fill in the blank. And we're actually training our subconscious to go away from forgiveness. Because we're telling it, it's too hard, I can't, it's dangerous, it's all these things, and we're training ourselves to go away from that. That's why we need to demolish and destroy those things. So here's how we do that, and we're ending with this. Verse 5, it says, casting down imaginations and every lofty opinion. Has anybody ever had any lofty opinions? Raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ. Now we've been going about an hour here. Can you guys give me like 5 minutes or so, 5 to 7 minutes to explore this a little bit? Come on, you know I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. If you agree, it will be fun. Okay, I see. It will be much more fun. So it says casting down what? Imaginations. Casting down imaginations. The whole battle, this whole thing, it doesn't happen out here. It happens in here. The whole battle takes place in your mind. Does anybody have a world-class imagination? Anybody that's a really good imaginer? Anybody that's just really, and that can be a very positive thing. It can be a very good thing. But has anybody, and you don't have to raise your hand on this one, but has anybody found that it's easier to imagine negative things than positive things? It's easier for your mind to go in that imagining negative things. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I'm an extreme, like off the chart positive person. I'm just positive. At the gym, when people say, how are you doing? I always answer the same way. Awesome. Awesome. And I always say, I don't ask myself how I'm doing. I tell myself how I'm doing. That's just how I am. But there's a couple areas in my life, and don't throw stones at me, because we all have them. There's a couple areas in my life where my imagination can go negative in about 3.6 milliseconds. Bam! Something happens, you hear something, and bam! You're just automatically in the negative. Like 10 times a day. Come on, somebody. Does anybody else have a couple areas like that in your life? Where that just happens. So why is that? I wish I knew. I don't totally understand it. I think it probably has something to do with the fall. That we were created to be perfect and we fell into sin. So I think that has something to do with it. But the word imagine in the original language, it literally means, literally, the definition is to exercise the mind. So just like in the gym, if I was going to exercise my bicep, I would do a repetitive motion over and over again to exercise my bicep. Imagine is the exercise of the mind where you are repetitive in a thought. So you're repeating this thought by exercising the mind. And what happens to what you imagine? What happens to that thought that you're repeating over and over again to exercise the mind? What happens to what you imagine? It becomes imaginations. So when you imagine something over and over again, it becomes an imagination, that thing that is burned into the pathways of our mind and programs your subconscious. So when you think over and over about something, it programs that. That's why we must cast down imaginations. So it says we need to cast down imaginations and lofty opinions. Lofty opinions. So lofty means what? Where are you going to sleep? Well, I'm going to sleep up in the loft. Lofty means high. Something that's high. So actually some versions of the Bible, they translate this high things. Instead of lofty opinions, they just say high things. It's talking about something that's higher. So opinions that are high in relation to what? God's opinion. So when it says lofty opinions, it's talking about something that is higher than God's opinion. God's opinion is here, but you have created this opinion that's up here. It's higher. So it's commonly referred to as pride. Pride. When we put our own thoughts above God's thoughts, that our thoughts are more important than God's thoughts because we know more than God. We know the right answer. God is not smart enough to figure out our situation, but we know what is right. That is pride. That is walking in pride. So what are these imaginations and lofty opinions doing? They are raised against the knowledge of God. So the knowledge of God, if you think about it this way, the knowledge of God is here, and these lofty opinions are raised above the knowledge of God. The knowledge of God is here, but you know better. You know better than God. So you're raising your lofty opinion above what God thinks. So what is the knowledge of God? The knowledge of God is that God knows what is best for you. He knows what is best for you. But when you know better, you're lofting or you're raising your opinion above God. That it's raised. So when he asks you to forgive, when he says that, you're raising above his desire for you to forgive. I can't. It's impossible. There's no way I can do that. You're raising your opinion above his. So what do we have to do in that situation? Cast it down. We have to cast those things down. And how do we do that? So casting down that high opinion, that lofty opinion that's above God's opinion, we have to cast it down. We have to take that thing down in priority so that God's opinion is higher than that thing. And how do we do that? We take every thought captive. These are all thoughts. They're all just thoughts. And I don't want to see just meaning that they're not powerful, because they are. Our thoughts are extremely powerful, but they're simply replaceable. And I said simply, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. So let's take a look at that real quick. So the word captive, when it says that we need to take something captive, the word is actually describing taking somebody captive by something that has a very sharp point on the end of it. So, I just wanted, Matt, could you just stick your finger on the end of that and just say whether that's a sharp point? Yeah, that's a sharp point. So this sword would qualify, right? As to take somebody captive. So the word literally means pointing a sharp point in their back to lead them away from something. So this sword would qualify. And in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12, it says, "For the word of God is alive and powerful. It's sharper than the sharpest two-edged sword, cutting between soul and spirit." It's able to divide the truth that's in your spirit versus the goofy thinking that's in your head. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions, and it can get jacked up. But there's truth in your spirit, and sometimes those things get mingled together and hobbled together. But the Word of God, which is sharper than any two-edged sword, is able to separate those things. So what's in your spirit, you know that's true. Between joint and marrow, it exposes our innermost thoughts and desires. So we use the Word of God to demolish these things, to destroy these things. And that's how you take thoughts captive. So practically, how does that work? Really quick, it works based on repetitiveness. The same way those negative thoughts got in there is the same way they're going to get taken captive. They got there by you repeating thinking about them. The way you get them out, the way you take them captive and lead them away, is by finding a scripture, finding something in the Word that is opposite of the negative that you're thinking, and repeating it over and over again. Many of you have gotten a text from me. You've sent me a text, "Pastor Ken, I'm struggling with this." And many of you know the text that comes back. I send you a scripture, and what do I say? Read this over 10 times. Many of you have gotten that text from me. Because it's that repetitiveness. Now, is 10 a magic number? No, but 10 gets you started. And it's that repetitiveness that is going to get that scripture, the Word of God that's sharper than a two-edged sword, to remove or cut away that old way of thinking and replace it with the new way. So in the area of forgiveness, I'll just give you a quick example and then we'll close. In the area of forgiveness, when God asks you to forgive, you say, "I can't." How about this? Mark 11:25. "But when you are praying, first forgive anyone you are holding a grudge against, so that your Father in heaven will forgive your sins too." So you repeat that 10 times, say it over and over, and then just start meditating on it. And let that roll around in your head and get rid of that, "I can't forgive." This will actually replace that thought and allow you to move into forgiveness. Amen. Let's everybody bow your head and close your eyes. Father God, I thank you for your word that truly is alive and powerful and truly empowers us to walk free from all the things that are holding us back. And God, especially this morning when we're talking about forgiveness and overcoming unforgiveness, God, I just pray that there's somebody in here that this morning they got it. They got it. And they know this is my way out. They've realized that they need to drop this thing. They realize they need to walk away from it, but they just didn't know how. And all of a sudden this morning, bam, they know how. So God, I pray for just empowering them, God, to walk this thing out. That tomorrow morning when that thought comes, which it will, it'll try to pull them right back emotionally into that thing. That God, they use this strategy that we talked about today to remain free. God, we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Well, you guys were real quiet, but I hope that means you were thinking and got something out of it. We'll have some fellowship time. How about that new graphic for our fellowship time?
Amazing.
The old one you can tell was created by me. This one you can tell was created by Lisa. A little higher talent level there. But we'll have some fellowship time over in the fellowship hall. Hope that you can get over there. If not, we'll see you next week, Sunday at 10 a.m.
Good.